All right, everybody. Well, it is that time. This is our fourth annual TDOC. Now, I feel like I have to kick it off already by just explaining a little bit for those of you that have been with us year after year and now year after year. It was originally the 12 Days of Christmas. I'll explain a little bit of why that was, and really for no other reason other than making sure people who have not been with us before are sure to know that it actually has nothing to do with Christmas. We decided to rebrand our fourth year in. Our acronym has always been TDOC, and mostly, thankfully, to my community, we decided to rebrand to the 12 Days of Community. So TDOC, it still is, but the 12 Days of Community, which is absolutely appropriate because for all of you that are with me on a monthly basis, that is our CommuKnitty night. We do that every month as a group, so why not make this 12 Days of Community? So I'm excited to just tell you a little bit about the background for maybe those of you that might be new to us. We certainly hope there are some people that will be new to us, whether you are with us live or whether you are watching the recording. So what I always like to let people know a little bit about is, all of us as knitters, crocheters, fiber enthusiasts, everybody this time of year is doing an Advent. And to be quite honest, just along the same lines as I thought I would never do a knit along, 5 years later, I swear I would never be able to do an Advent. I'm just not that prepared. And I don't really know how it fits in. And I also feel like it's just, there's a lot out there. But I was still struggling to find a way to create some sort of community throughout the holidays. And I always say, I don't know about many of you, but I kind of feel so crazed getting towards the holidays. Sometimes, dare I say, it's hard to enjoy the holidays, whether you're taking care of retail, taking care of other people, family obligations. And sometimes it's really hard to just sit down and dig in and enjoy the time for what it is. And so literally by the skin of my teeth, I had this idea and I didn't know if I wanted to do it, not do it. And so at the 11th hour, true to form, I pulled this out and put it together 4 years ago, of which actually Kimberly, of course, was one of my guests that year as well and has continued to be. And so for me, it was originally the 12 Days of Christmas because, quite frankly, I actually didn't even really know what the 12 Days of Christmas was. I just thought 12 days of doing something fabulous. Clearly, 12 Days of Christmas is sort of around this time. I wasn't going to start on Christmas, of course. And again, it was just about having a theme. And the name just sounded fun. And I think it also just gave me that timeline, if you will, to be able to just chat with different people over the course of 12 days. And so again, it's not holiday-based whatsoever. It's fiber-based, it's community-based, and it clearly has been something people have enjoyed. I think in the beginning I was super nervous about doing this because I thought, well, so many people are so busy over the holidays. But what I've really come to see is that whether you are trying to get away from the busyness of family in the holidays, or whether you maybe don't have as much family living close to you throughout the holidays, I think we forget that everybody's holidays, whatever they are, look different. And I've been gobsmacked that for 4 years now, hopefully going on the fourth, people have spent their time with me every evening or catching up on the lives or when they can. And what I've loved more than anything else is to be able to bring to you different people that are in my world and hopefully many people that you don't know already. And so it's just a really great way to bring different communities together and expand our knowledge and have a lot of fun. Now, this person you already know, or you should already know. So I don't really know that we need a whole lot of introduction, but we're going to do it anyway, of course, because you just never know who's watching us. Now, with that, though, I do want to say that there's always a little bit of housekeeping, if you will, before we kind of really delve into it. And the first thing that I want to let you know is actually, again, true to form, at the 11th hour, Erin and I were brainstorming today, and I thought, I want to be able to get more people to come to this community. And because really there's no obligation, right? It costs nothing just to sit here and to be with us and to listen. And for that, we wanted to be able to create a Refer a Friend program. Now, for many of you, you know the coveted keepsake basket. that happens at the 12th day. And so, for those of you that don't know, for every guest that is a part of our program, the idea has evolved that they will donate something to go towards this keepsake basket because it's basically a collection of memories of our 12 days. And so that basket ends up getting raffled off at our wrap up party, which happens on January 6th. And the way you get in for that raffle is that throughout this time, for every $10 that you spend with us shopping, because we've got lots of things coming down the pike, we put one ticket in for you towards the drawing. So again, for every $10 that you spend, you get one ticket in the end to go towards the drawing for the keepsake basket. So our Refer a Friend program simply just means come and join us. Drop your name in the chat. It's an honor system. If you've never done the 12 days of Christmas and you have been brought in by somebody else, we want you to, sorry, I just said 12 days of Christmas, 12 days of community. I'm going to go back to just saying TDOC. It's so much easier. So if you are new to TDOC and somebody told you about it and asked you to join, when you are here with us in the chat, drop your name in the chat and then who referred you. So maybe for tonight, it's not going to necessarily count, but who knows? There might be somebody with us that heard it from somebody else already. So moving forward, though, for all of my lifers and people that have been with us year after year, this is something new. So go grab a friend, drag them on and be like, just sit and listen. I think you're going to love it and have a great time. And if they drop their name in the chat and they name you, both of you get an extra ticket to go in for the keepsake basket. So we just wanted to try something a little fun just to see if we can get some more people involved, because every year as our community grows and grows, that's what it's all about. So that's a little bit of something that is new, and thanks to Erin for helping me to evolve through that new program. Outside of that, I will say, stay till the end, and every night we do a live drawing, if you will, for somebody to get a $25 gift certificate. And that will be Kimberly picking a number based on how many people are currently on our participant list. And then I just scroll down and you get a $25 gift certificate. It's as easy as that, but you have to be in it to win it, unlike our raffle basket at the end. So I think for now, that's my housekeeping, just to kind of let you know what and how this all works. But so without further ado, I feel like, and somewhere along the lines, don't let me forget, I want to be able to do introductions. I know she's like, what is that? So I'm going to try this year. I usually start strong and then it kind of falls off, but I try to bring like some new recipe or idea or holiday or festive thing to it. And for many of you, you also know that the past 2 years, I've had a little someone that has traveled all the way from Kansas and has been with me throughout the holidays, which has also occupied my days. And I do not have Alex here with me this holiday season. So I have a little bit of extra time on my hands. So I have my first recipe, which is so simple, to share with everybody. And we'll do that at some point. So, Kimberly.
Yes. Hello.
So I know it's going to unravel quickly, I hope, because that's what it's all about. But for maybe people who don't know who you are, I would love for you to introduce yourself, and then we're just going to kind of roll from there.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kimberly. I see everyone waving. Thank you. And happy holidays to you. I am Kimberly McAlinden. I've been in the fiber industry for over 25 years. I am a designer, and I have designed for large yarn companies, and I also self-publish my designs. I'm mainly a garment designer. I do design some accessories every once in a while, but for the most part, it is garments. I am the past editor-in-chief of Knit 123 and Crochet 123. Um, and I love to knit and spin and weave and crochet and do all that stuff. Oh, I'm also the technical expert for anniesaddict.com. That's my
We're
new
going to talk about that more.
yeah, and so that's an exciting thing, and that's crochet. So it's a wonderful journey that I have been on with the fiber arts. I learned to knit when I was 10 years old, and it has always been my friend in my back pocket that I could count on to get me through lots of different situations in my life. And so that's pretty much, I also have a YouTube channel where I, I would love to say that I wrapped up Vlogmas, but I have 3 days still to edit and get through, and then Vlogmas will be wrapped up. But it really has been a wonderful, very fast 23 days.
That is the exact commitment that I cannot make. So God bless you and kudos to you. As I said, that's why I created this because really, in a sense, it's live. Whatever happens, happens. But God bless you for doing all your videoing and now for the second year in a row, I've been there with you at some point for Vlogmas. So I see you doing the videos. I see you doing the editing. I'm like, oh, no, 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 I can't. This is just
It's
live. Whatever happens,
there's a
happens.
lot. There's a
And
lot
then
to
I'm
it.
done. It is. And I hope people appreciate it.
Yeah, it's fun. I I don't know. I just do it because I think it's fun and it's something that, a lot of times I would say that I wasn't going to do it, and then I would be at a fiber festival and someone would come up and say, "Oh, I looked forward to seeing you every night." And that's really nice to hear. So and I make like an extra $60 from YouTube in the month of December.
Hey, every little bit counts. That's like some extra fiber money for sure. But
I
you know
know.
what I wanted to say, of course, as me being blind, I'm like leaning in, right? This is me, just trying to see how many people we have
Yes.
with us. Because the number's so little. But I was saying, I don't know if I was saying it to you earlier, if I was talking to Erin, but or it was just a thought in my head. But that's the one thing, and I'm so glad that you just said it, as far as like sometimes not really feeling like you wanted to do something or you weren't really sure, and then you see somebody and then they say how much they enjoy it. And I told you earlier, and I said behind the scenes before we got started, you are always like, right, like that girl that's like, I don't know if anyone's going to come to my party. And I don't care how old you are, I don't care who you are. And maybe some people don't feel like that, but I know I do. And I know that just people being here, and we've talked about it, I don't think people realize how much sometimes this community gets us through day to day.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's the reason that you put one foot in front of the other. And the smallest little thing of just somebody saying, I really enjoyed that, or I really enjoyed that little tip that you posted, or,
Mhm.
it was just nice to see you, or great to have you on in the background, while I was cooking. It makes such a difference, doesn't it?
Sure does. It does. Sometimes it was the reason. The first time I did it was because Christmas was really difficult for me after my mom passed away. And I thought, I just need something that is going to get me showered, quite frankly. And, talking about knitting and crochet and how much I love to teach, that part of it kind of came out, and so it organically became me knitting something and teaching all the little things that I do that I thought everybody did, but they don't when they're knitting, like how if it's going to be a seam, how when I'm knitting I always think when I start something, oh, is there going to be a seam here, or can I use my tail to do the three needle bind off, or like I'm always kind of thinking outside along with what's in the pattern. And so when I started talking about that on Instagram and on YouTube, people were saying, "Oh my gosh, I never would have thought of that. That's brilliant." And so I thought, "Oh, well, here's a way that I can help people to have their knitting make them feel as wonderful as my knitting has helped me throughout my life, especially during, the depths of grief that I went through after my mom passed away." So, yeah, I that's so it helps me shower.
Well, and I mean, for people that have been with us, and I know a lot of the faces here have been with us over the years, so that was, then that was my year, 2021, right? That was your year, 2020, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And
2019, 2019.
2019, okay, yeah, and so I was 2021, and so when I lost my mom, and yeah, again, I mean, this community was the only reason I continued. And that is absolutely the truth. So, I just want people to know that it really does make a difference. And we all make a difference with each other. I think maybe sometimes people don't think we're not thinking about them. I think about so many of these people throughout the day for many different reasons. And I love, the relationship that I have where people will send me funny reels or people will shoot me a text with some article or, they'll of course see anything with sheep or llama and think of me. And it's great. I love it. So I think that that's really, really important, for people to be able to, recognize. And, I love always talking about, how we kind of got back together and how we've arrived where we are here now. And, for many people who know and don't know, I mean, I think we tried to calculate, I don't know, what is it, like 15 years ago, 20 years? Well, it can't be 20 years ago, but it's got to be at least 15 years ago. I
I
feel like
think
we talk about this every time and then I forget.
we do. Hold on, let me do the math. Because I think we said Marin was born in 2004, and I think it was 2009.
And when we started,
Yeah.
when did we start? When we started.
It's over 15. It's 16. So we can now say it's for over 15 years.
There you
It's
go. That just
it's
sounds
been
like
great.
a great number. And it's funny because I think I said to you, one of my guests later on in TDOC, Marley Bird, it's funny, I think of the two of you in many ways at around the same time because
Yeah.
we would all hang out at the knit and crochet festival, right? Was that what it was? The Kate
Chain link, CGOA, chain link.
says a CGOA, but it was also like the Knit and Crochet Festival, or every other
Yeah.
year it was, because I don't think I would have showed up if it was just crochet necessarily, but it had a strong focus in crochet. And I will never forget one of the early things that people said to me was that, well, people who just crochet aren't going to buy your yarn. They don't crochet with nice yarn. And I'm like, oh, no, we're going to change that. And I remember one of the earlier patterns, I had you do a cowl, a crocheted cowl. I met so many different people. And so, I mean, that opened up my eyes. And I started to try to pull out all of the patterns that you've done for
Of
me,
mine.
going back to the beginning. And I gave up. I was like, no, we're just going to focus on the
I
forward.
think you sold a lot of them.
I mean, but no, I still actually one of the earlier ones. I have it here somewhere. One of the earlier, maybe I didn't see, maybe I didn't bring it over because I was like, I'm just going to focus forward. But the Sag Harbor vest was, I think, the very
Uh,
first one, and I've done so many different versions of that. And then yeah, the cutout cardi, we kind of put that to sleep a little bit, but it would be fun, as we said, to bring that back. And but yeah, just rolling from there. The wide water cowl was the crocheted cowl. So, I mean, guys, for anybody interested, you can always go to my website and just check out all the different patterns. But I kind of laugh, but I really appreciate that at this point in time, for the most part, if you see me at a fiber festival or at a yarn show, because I feel like they're different, it is all Kimberly. I told Kimberly because we were getting set up earlier. I feel like even more and more, I'm just being squished by bodies and boobs, quite frankly. I tried to file it all out. It's like all different levels, but like there was almost no room for me by the time I got done. And then I have the poster about our knit along. I'm like, well, hell, that doesn't fit anywhere in here. It was just, there's just too much. There's just too much, but it's great and I love it. And I do say that, and I am always happy to sing your praises because I've gone through an evolution over the years of, in the early days, working with lots of different designers and, honestly trying to get my name out there by working with designers who were maybe more well known, and then evolving in different directions. And then I really just kind of learned that it doesn't always work well that way. And I really actually, after a while, stopped because I just was uncomfortable with, maybe how patterns worked or the way they were written, and not being able to have the support the way we're designed to provide that to people. So it just became a part of where I thought, well, heck, there's Ravelry, and you guys are knitters, crocheters, and I've got the yarn, and you can figure out what to do with it. And oftentimes that's still a lot of my community. But I always say, once we kind of got back together again, that I I don't really do patterns with too many other people. Crystal snuck in there. We've
I
got
was
her.
gonna say,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
other.
We've got her coming on Thursday the 1st. So we've got a Fiber Friends chat bringing in the new year. But yeah, I really don't. I mean, otherwise I just like to focus and specialize on yarn. And so many people are so creative, and they just know if they like yarn and they know what they want to do with it, which is great. But we've got a lot of great things that we've done with yarn.
Yes.
Not even looking at the chat, but I mean, I'm sure, in all honesty, most people are just like, all right, just cut to the chase and let's just talk about the
No,
new.
but I love someone in the chat was like, "What's Vlogmas?"
Yeah, I did see that earlier, and thank
And
you.
I'm so glad that if I am the person, me being on here, if I'm the person that introduces you to Vlogmas, I'm thrilled about that because I didn't know what it was either until I started working in a yarn shop. And it was something that they talked about, and I was like, what the heck is that? But it's a wonderful thing because you get to kind of see the lives of, people. And we all love to watch, reality TV. Well, that's all YouTube really is reality TV, when you're doing the stuff that I'm doing. So it's super cool to, see little snippets of their lives and where they live and how they decorate their house and what they're working on and who drinks coffee, who drinks tea, who doesn't care what their mug looks like, who sends away for a fancy schmancy mug with their name on it. Like that's stuff, that's all interesting stuff. And so so whilst you're home this weekend, you can watch, you
We
don't
need
have to
to
watch
have a
much.
drinking game where for how
Yeah.
many times you say
I
whilst.
say whilst. I'm bringing it back. It's the English language. It's a beautiful word. But, here I am in, New Jersey, like I'm bringing back this beautiful word whilst. But anyway, um, wonderful vlogs that I watch for Vlogmas, Sandy by the Lakeside, and Sweet Skein of Mine. She is my absolute favorite to watch. Like as soon as I see her vlog come up, I'm always so excited. And when Tabitha was saying before about taking time for yourself every morning, and not just in December, but every single morning, the first thing I do when after I get my coffee is I knit or I weave or crochet or spin. I do that thing that grounds me, that makes me feel good, and then I can go out and do the good. But when I don't, I kind of get a little twitchy when I am unable or I'm too busy, to do my craft.
And I feel like at my time, I don't get to maybe sit still as much as I would like, because I think for me, whenever I'm sitting, I'm like, I've got to package something. I've got to like tie a bow on something. Like I have to do something. But my time when I get to enjoy things is the days when feeding the animals is my shift. So that's when I'll put podcasts on. And I will say sometimes I listen to more business focused. Sometimes I will listen to fiber podcasts. I get frustrated though, at least for me, because a lot of fiber podcasts are more visual, and that I want to stop and I want to see what I'm looking at, and then I got animals asking for food, and it doesn't always work necessarily that way. But yeah, I mean, I think everybody needs to find that time for them to be able to reflect, enjoy. For me, I know maybe I don't get it to do it every morning, but I know when I need it. Do you know what that
Yeah,
means?
I
Like,
I get that. And one thing that I started doing, which it takes 5 minutes, but it really makes a difference, is um, I do write down just three things that I'm grateful for. Just three. That's it. And when you like start your day with like, oh, I'm grateful, sometimes I was grateful that I woke up and I was grateful that I didn't have a headache and I was grateful that, you know, my like when all my children were home, I when you write that down, you kind of think like, oh, even though everything is crazy and my back hurts and I have 11 million packages to wrap, like when you start your day with, oh, these are things that I'm really happy about, it just kind of sets your day up for a great, for a nice positive day instead of starting, how many times do we wake up in the morning like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have this, and this to do. Or, at 3 o'clock in the morning when we're all up, we should text each other, especially if you're a menopausal woman, like 3 o'clock, hit me up, girls, 917, like I am so, but um when I started back on crafting, and I use crafting for knitting and crochet and spinning and weaving and all the things, when I started doing that, um, it I I wanted to get out of bed in the morning. And my hope is with my YouTube channel and Vlogmas or whatever it is, Instagram, I hope that that inspires you to find the thing, whatever it is, that gets you out of bed, that gets you excited to get out of bed, I should say.
And I know sometimes, like, especially with you and I, we've done this a couple of years. We do other things together. So I know sometimes in my mind, I'm always like, hey, well, what are we going to talk about it? And I never know what direction things are going to go in.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say, though, was, for instance, maybe so many of us are like, we know what Vlogmas is, or so, and not that that is to say for the person who didn't. What I want to say is sometimes those of us that have a certain skill or a certain area of expertise, or something that we do every day, it doesn't even have to be expertise or a skill, but it's just the thing that we do every day. We do take it for granted. One, that other people won't know about it and will find it interesting, right? And we can also sometimes take it for granted, and that's maybe the thing that we have to be grateful for. Like, there's plenty of times to go out and feed the animals, especially right now with it snowing and what we were talking about. And as soon as I'm done here, I've got to dress up and get back out there. And those are the days where you're like, oh, I just want to be like the rest of the knitters. I want to be inside with a cup of tea, all cozy, warm with my knitting. But no, I'm out there shepherding, right? But at the same time, when I am out there, and I posted a video Christmas morning, I think people are going to think I raised deer, because honestly, I'm
I think you love those deer because you don't have to do a darn thing with the
I
deer.
don't really
You
know.
just
I
get
just
to
love
enjoy
them.
them.
I love them so much. They are so magical to me.
They're
They
so
each
wee, those little deer. They're
They
tiny
are. They're
deer.
wee little deer. And the fact that, like, some of them are so brave and some of them are so shy. And then there's Larry, the legend with 3 legs. He's been around forever. So, like, anyway, I feel like, but my point was, like, when I come out in the morning and they're all there, it just that those little things, right, that we all just want to remember and take in and enjoy. And I was so crazy Christmas morning because we were hosting people for afternoon, where we usually have them at 5. And then as soon as I got out there with the animals, I'm like, no, you know what, I'm gonna take my darn time. I'm like,
Mhm.
if my house is dirty, my house is dirty. And there
Yep.
we
Yeah. People are still going to eat and they're still going to enjoy themselves. Doesn't matter.
Absolutely, absolutely. So
Yeah.
I hope, at least, to those of you watching, that some of this stuff is resonating, and whether it's something you needed to hear, whether it's something that makes you laugh. I mean, I think the most important thing too is, and it's kind of the theme. I mean, it might have been forced onto Kimberly, but I just told her I feel like the theme for this year's knit along needed to come back to us. For those of you that have been with us over the years, it started. Well, I don't really know that the shoreline shawl, which you're wearing, fit into any particular theme other than the fact that you've got a house on the shore. Maybe, I don't know. Where do you come up with that name?
The shoreline shawl, because it's clamshell lace. That's the name of the lace, is clamshell at the bottom.
That's my shoreline shawl there. I just had it cuffed up with jewel designs. So
I
yeah.
think Erin has hers in the background of hers.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. We all needed to coordinate, right? I mean, actually, the only one I don't have present is a mother's hug. But
And you know what's so cool about this? I keep this like by my, where my knitting spot where I sit in this big basket. And when I'm cold, I just put it around me to, because I don't have a turtleneck on because I
because you
don't do that.
to
I
me,
just, it feels, I know, and you're like, and I'm like, I'm going to
it can't go
suffocate.
any higher.
Makes me feel like I'm suffocating. But this just, it's just a wonderful little thing. I'm not really a shawl girl, but.
And I'm not either. That's the way I will wear it all usually as well too. I mean, everybody is different, but I will say, I mean, I love how I have it styled. Not that I styled it, I'll give
I
Jill,
like that too.
but
Yeah.
I like it that way. So I mean, I think there's all different ways. But yeah, Shoreline Shawl was our first one. So I mean, maybe that didn't necessarily roll into the theme that then started to continue on from there in terms of like the family theme. But obviously, where the knit along started was the whole sheep to shawl, concept that you were doing at the presentation for, was it the country club?
The yacht club.
Yacht club. I knew you were as soon as I said it. Pardon.
Oh,
I love
yes, I was asked to give a demonstration for the ladies. It's like a ladies' night out, it's called. So
I love it.
I
And
did.
so, I mean, it was just where we came. And again, everybody knows I'm like, I'll never do a knit along, never do a knit along. And for the sake of those that have heard it before, we just, Kimberly and I got back together again after having, separated from our friendship for a little bit. Things happen, people drift apart. And, Kimberly took a break from knitting. I was just still over here shepherding. And, really, it was Kimberly who reached out once I had finally talked about the fact that my mother had passed, and then that's just kind of where things went from there, and we just kind of picked up from there, and really just from early conversation. What?
I don't even know how we started doing a knit along. Like, how did it even start? Because you were saying something about, well, would you want to do a knit along? And I was like, what?
I really did
You
I?
did. You did. I
Well,
didn't come to you.
I know when we were talking. I mean, look, when we get together, right, we always say like how all of a sudden, I mean, the two of us will be like, I don't feel like doing anything, and then we'll get together and then it just like heightens our energy. We get inspired, we get enthusiastic that way. And whether it's on Zoom or in person. So I know it's when you started telling me about the presentation that you did for the yacht club, because amazingly enough, you had started with the fleece, did the spinning, then created a design, did this whole thing. I'm not downplaying it, but you did this whole thing for this ladies group. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Didn't
Yes.
even write the pattern, right? And then all of a
Oh,
sudden showing it, and then people were like, wow, I really love that. What's the pattern? Kimberly's like, I don't know. I just dreamt it up. She just knits things as she goes. And so I know you were saying to me, well, people really love this pattern. And so, it'd probably be good if I created a pattern for it. And then me being the shepherding, part of things as far as like the dynamic duo, if you will, me having that part of it, right? Because you were doing
right.
the fleece and all of that, and then the designing, and yeah, I don't know. Then here we are 5 years later. But I will say, anybody who knows me, I always said I would never do a knit along. But
It's not really, can we just say it's not really a knit along?
it's
We
not.
call it a knit along, but it really is a workshop. It's really a
It is,
class.
it is. And we modified that last year, right? Because that's what we would always say, right? We'd say knit along because it's just trendy and it's fun to say. And then we'd be like, but it's not really a knit along, it's a workshop. And that really is true because, right, so many people get hangups about knit alongs, as I would. I don't have time, I don't knit that fast, it's not the right time of year for me. So, I mean, we've certainly learned as we've gone along, but true to Kimberly and Tabitha fashion, I mean, we just basically pulled it out of our pockets, to be nice and say it that way, that
Well, we
first
said
year.
pocket.
Pockets.
We pulled it out of our
Uh,
pockets.
so yeah, and look, I love that. So Alice, just because I happened to look up at the chat, and Alice says I'm still knitting along, and that's okay, right? And that's what we say constantly. So for the sake of, I mean, I want to back up to like where all the naming came from because I don't want to sound like an infomercial, but I want to get to the point of where I thought the theme for this year could be, which is really
Okay.
where a lot of this. See,
Yeah.
it only
We'll
took
bring
us
it round. We'll
it
bring it
only
round.
took us
We
about
will.
40 minutes to just start rolling into craziness. So the second one was the Sheridan shawl. That's there,
Yep.
right? And then that's one of your family's last
My
name.
mother-in-law's maiden name.
Okay. So I knew, and I don't, and we love alliteration, and that's just something that we both love. Shoreline shawl and Sheridan shawl. But was there something about that one that made you think of that? Because that one, I know you just came up with the name, and that was you just kind of ran with it.
Because it was an applied border that had a really intricate cable, and my mother-in-law was Irish.
Cool.
And I know, well, she never was my mother-in-law because she passed away when I was a senior in college. So I never really had, a mother-in-law. I mean, I have her in my heart, and I knew her because my husband and I dated since I was 16. But um, and like me and Tabitha, we did take a break and then come back together.
Kind of like I'm kind of in the same realm. I love it.
Must be the way I operate.
You just keep all the good things.
Okay. So, yeah, so I just saw it and I loved it. And she was a very classy lady. She was always done and she had 7 children and she was about the size of my pencil. And I just thought, that the Sheridan shawl was like, I remember because, Chris McAlinden, when I was in middle school, that's my husband, by the way, that he was like, to me, he was like Johnny Depp, right? Like, even if I ever married, like, or ever saw Johnny Depp, like, I would call him Johnny Depp, right? Zac Efron, same, Zac Efron. But Chris McAlinden was like the same. So when I was in middle school, and
Johnny Depp in the early days, if I could just
yeah,
say.
but I'd still hang with Johnny Depp now.
Okay.
I would,
All right.
'cause I would remember. I mean, I don't look like I did in the 80s and 90s either.
Like, look up right now, 21 Jump Street. Oh my gosh.
Oh, 21 Jump Street, Johnny.
Ugh, all
What's
right.
eating Gilbert Grape, Johnny? Mm.
Ugh,
Anyway, but Chris McAlinden was like that for me. And I remember thinking, like, what in the world does his mother look like? And he's the youngest of 7 children, but by a lot. Like his 6 siblings were born and then 6 years, and then he was born. So there weren't many McAlindens, around town when I was coming up, and I'm younger than Chris, right? So I remember thinking, what this woman is going to be like, a gigantic person because she had 7 children. And I remember meeting her, and she was like maybe 5'1". I mean, she was the tiniest little thing. And I thought, how did 7 human beings come out of that body? Like, it was amazing to me. But anyway, I digress. Yep, there's how my brain goes.
hey, that's all right. I mean, that's the fun thing about it, right? Because we never know where it's, once you just
You
sort of
never
let
know
it.
where Kimberly's going to go, but yeah.
So that was the, because I never, I mean, I'm sure I knew it then, but I just couldn't remember now where you got Sheridan Shaw from. And that's where the family thing kind of started.
And it
Uh,
was her, yeah, it was her maiden name. And then another thing I just remembered is that I am a big fan of women's maiden names because we typically, and in my generation, when we got married, we gave up our maiden names. And so when I named my children, their middle names are women that I have loved their maiden names, so that that name continues. Um, and Sheridan, that's why I wanted the Sheridan Shawl, like so that that name is out there.
I never knew that.
Yes.
I love that. See, there's always something new you get out of this. And of
Yep.
course, for any of you, I'm starting to think like trivia quiz. So don't forget on the wrap up party, we do trivia quizzes, trivia questions for each of our
Mm.
guests. They're not present, but I just try to think of things. So,
Yeah, so my oldest is Colin Kellogg. That was my maiden name, Kellogg. And my middle guy is Graham Monahan McAlinden.
and then what's Marin?
Well, Marin is different. She's special. She is Marin Beth, and my mother-in-law's name was Marion, and my sister-in-law's name was Beth Ann. And so when I was a senior in college, my mother-in-law passed away, and 6 months later, my 31-year-old sister-in-law passed away. And it was very sad and a hard time. And when Chris and I got married, and we said if we had a girl, we would always name her after my mother-in-law and sister-in-law. So her name would be Marion Beth. So I had 2 boys first, right? So the third shot, I convinced myself I wasn't having a girl, but when it turned out to be a girl, I just couldn't do Marion for some reason. But Marin is a form of Marion. And a lot of times people will call her name. They'll say Marion McAlinden, and we
Just
always smile.
respect because Marin's more unusual in that
Yeah,
sense. So,
yeah. So it means of the sea, Marin Beth. So her name is Marin Beth McAlinden.
cool.
By two amazing women who, you know, we love in our hearts.
I love that. Yeah, and that's where the theme, and then and obviously I guess I must have known all of that because then the third knit along that we did then switched over to my side in a sense. I mean, again, both of us got our friendship. Let's say we got reconnected after our mom's passing,
Yeah.
and the mother's hug, and that was the only one I couldn't fit on a dress form. So I pulled up well, I mean, I have both of them, but this was the V-neck version. And
Erin has the other one she's
oh,
holding up.
oh, perfect. Yeah, I was gonna say, and then this was mine more
Isn't
the
that wonderful? You all have all my things and I have one. I don't have
hey,
any.
well, what are we gonna do? Like wear layers? we
I
have
could have like hung something up.
Oh, don't be silly. Well, and actually, the picture I posted, I was wearing that version of that. Well, we'll have to
You
talk about.
were. You
Yeah.
were.
So, but so the mother's hug, thankfully, and I didn't bring a picture of Mama Joe, but there was a knitted piece that she had purchased that she loved, and it was my favorite picture of her because she hated having her picture taken, and it was like one of the only pictures that I have that where she was smiling because I had asked her to model the piece just for I don't know one day, maybe being able to knit it, and so. As always, I ship the piece off to you, and then again, it's a recreation, but with your interpretation. And then we went away from the alliteration theme, but we called it a mother's hug, just because I had said to you that every time I wear it, it makes me feel like she's hugging me. Or anytime I wear any of the clothes that I was able to, God bless her, she was a fashionista. I have like, too bad she was this big also and like this tall, but I
Mm.
have a good handful of things that I fit in that I was able to keep from her, which is always fun. So that was a really special piece for me that you did. Two different versions, but definitely a bigger statement piece. And then still sticking with the family theme, you wanted to do a sweater. And I was like, I've got a sweater that everybody asks me to recreate. Christopher's grandmother was a knitter. Christopher's my husband too. And so he gave me his mom gave me this sweater, and I love it. I would wear it all the time, and I mean, basically the concept of it was exactly like this here. And I said, well, you want to do a sweater? I said, I've got the perfect piece, and you can deconstruct it and do your interpretation of it. But then I also thought it was cool that it really evolved. That while you wanted to focus on color work, we and by no, this was a we that we decided to do a bigger piece and a smaller piece.
Yep.
So
Yes. Because
that was
of the sweater quantity.
yeah. And I think, the phrase I came up with this year's description was it just offers, flexibility in terms of like time and yarn commitment, right? Because it's both those things. And maybe the fear of like somebody not having ever done color work before, so wanting to start with a cowl that would make it, a little bit easier to digest versus a big sweater because maybe for some people they're never going to do a sweater anyway. So then it was your fault.
Yeah, that was
That
my
was,
fault.
it was your fault that it turned into a collection. So instead of having a larger piece, the sweater and a cowl, then all of a sudden it was a hat, and then it just became the Evie B collection. And then so that was as a result of
My grandmother's name is Evelyn.
Evelyn, and then my grandmother's name was Beatrice. Um, or B, as she would go by. And even though the sweater wasn't related to that grandmother, that was the grandmother that was close to me. So that's where we came up with the Evie B collection. Again, I guess we lost the alliteration, but you know what? Either way, it still just flows. And, it was a combination of both of our grandmothers. And so, I mean, that's where our themes have kind of been over the years. But, I felt like coming into this year that it would be something to turn inwards, and I think as many conversations as we've had over the years or over this particular year, the give yourself grace is just something I say all the time, and I try to remember it. I'm much easier at giving it to everyone else, right? Reminding everyone else to give yourself grace, but sometimes it's really hard to remind yourself that. And so I just said to Kimberly, I don't know what the names of the pieces are going to be, and we'll talk about it because then I'm going to turn it over to her. But that's where we're coming from for this year. And, every year, the workshops that we do as sort of a team and a friendship that we have, we wanted to resonate with people. We want people to also feel part of that community, but also get something out of it, whether it's remembering a loved one that's no longer with you, thinking of great memories of grandmothers, whatever the case may be, especially the mother one, that was a big one for both of us. And so now this one's about all of us, and thinking about ourselves and what do we need to do to hug ourselves and continue to provide self-care for ourselves and love ourselves. And so I know that's what we're going forward with for this year for 2026.
Yeah, so it's going to be something along that line. Yeah, so we're going for year number 5, friends.
And so, I mean, part of, of course, tonight is to drop some sneak peeks. I mean, for those of you that have been with me, at least, I will say, and on CommuKnitty, I've definitely already been dropping the sneak peeks because those of you that are with me monthly, you're my VIPs all the way. But at the same time, for TDOC, we try to do some special things throughout the 12 days. And if you hang in with me till the end, we'll definitely be giving you some precursors about some other things that are coming out of this next 11 days, I guess, because the 12th day is the party. So this is just the first drop, but there's a lot of drops that will be happening. So I will turn it to Kimberly to
What do I what are we doing?
you're
What am I doing?
you're talking about the concept behind, because as the designer, I would simply be like the yarn dealer and the comedic relief and just the second part of the dynamic duo, whatever I can do to provide for the knit along / workshop. But why don't you let people know? I mean, look, we're just in the very, very beginnings. Our official launch, folks, is always, well, I shouldn't say always, but I think over the past, this will be the 3rd year now, we've decided to make Vogue Knitting Live New York City sort of the official kickoff and launch to the Knit Along. And that's not to say for those of you that aren't with us in person, but it's an opportunity to unveil everything. And then of course we come back and we are sure to do that on social media as well. So that's not until the end of January this year. So we've got a little bit of extra time. But that's the official kickoff. But last year, we started pre-registration during TDOC because we realized that there are so many of you that are like, shoot, we're in no matter what. Just sign us up and we'll be along for the ride. But that way you kind of also get the behind the scenes of everything that's happening. You definitely get some early yarn choices and information if you choose to go that way. I thought that said the 6th. I'm like, just let's get through the 5th first. So, pre-registration is open again. And I will say, before Kimberly starts to talk about it, I thought one of the funny bonuses is, so it's been $75 since we've started. And I finally thought, all right, folks, after, 4 years, let's make it 80, right? Just $5 more. But guess what?
There's more.
There's more, but there's a bonus.
But wait.
That gives you 8 tickets now to go in for the keepsake basket as opposed to 7, right? Because there's no half ticket. So you're welcome. But I think that on the pre-registration, you'll see everything outlined. But I mean, seriously, why don't you just I'm going to let you do the talking to let everybody know like why we say so much it's a workshop and not a knit along, and then talk about the skills that you're going to be sharing this year because this is all you.
Well, my favorite thing about this knit along is how, and we were talking about it a little bit earlier, what is the community, right? So there is a private community that is on Facebook, and what happens during the course of the knit along, it starts in February, is that people become very friendly. And, I love to go in there first thing in the morning or, midday and like see what everybody's talking about. And the beautiful thing is that the people that come and take these knit alongs with us, they're just great people, and it ends up that if somebody is a little bit more ahead of somebody else and someone has a question and I don't get in there in time to answer it, that you all start to help each other. And it's one of my favorite parts about it. But it is going to be a shawl-ish thing. It's going to be an accessory. And the shawl is going to be a very interesting construction, that I don't, just do regular construction. And it's going to be in my brain, friends. It's so stinking cool. It just hasn't come out yet. But that it's the next thing on the docket. It's the next thing on my list of things to do. But what we're going to learn is uh, interesting construction. But the main focus of this is going to be embroidering on your hand knits. And what I love about embroidering on your hand knits is not only does it, zhuzh up something, right? It makes it something look really cool, but it can also help you if you are covering up moth holes or if you wanted to kind of do some visible mending, which is also another really cool thing. So it is kind of the precursor of visible mending, where if you have an issue with your sweater, then or something, you can fix it. So you will be learning 4 or 5 different techniques of embroidery. And we are going to embroider on this shawl-like awesome construction thing. Now,
Don't
if
forget the
you
versatility.
are not into doing an entire piece, an entire shawl, you still can learn what you need to learn. I'm really sorry. My daughter is out and I have to look at this text. I'm so sorry.
Oh, don't worry. So while she's looking at that, we really found that last year doing the larger piece and a smaller piece, providing that versatility for people or the versatility of options worked really well. So while I'm not pushing her to do a collection, we said that we were going to do a larger piece and a smaller piece. And that smaller piece is going to be a headband, which I'm super stoked about because if you see me all the time on the farm, I do like hats. I'm a hat girl, but when I'm on the farm, I like my high bun and I love a good headband. And they're tough to find because, and I'm sure Kimberly's going to incorporate it into it, but when you're working, I mean, it has to be graduated in a way in which, it's just not the same shape all the way around because then you move your head back and it just doesn't work. So I am a headband aficionado and I'm very excited to have that as an option.
Yeah, and I have this cool, again, in my head, it's brilliant. We'll see if it works, but it's going to be the way that it is constructed so that you don't have like, when you wear something that is the same size all the way around as a headband, it kind of pops your hair up in the back a little bit, think of like 80s skiers and, the women like that's not what I want. But I do want something that is going to look nice. And it's going to look nice with bangs too, because I'm a bang girl. So rocking the bangs since the early 70s when my hair grew in. But I think that to have this smaller piece it's wonderful because it's not going to take the same amount of time that a larger piece will take, but you'll still be able to learn all the techniques. So think of as where the embroidery is going to be on the larger shawl will probably be what is the headband is.
And so ultimately they can coordinate as well. I mean, if you wanted to do both, depending on what you like to wear, I guess.
Whatever floats your boat,
Ever,
friends. Whatever floats your
your
boat.
dress up.
Whatever blows your dress up, that's all on you. But and it also is, a smaller commitment, when you're going to make the headband. And I'm hoping that it will be, something like the Sophie scarf that is a very simple thing that everybody makes and everybody buys the pattern.
Well, I mean, and the thing is that sometimes the simplest things can be the most brilliant, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be complicated, but you want it to also be wearable. And I feel like that's what a lot of that you've come up with, whether I've had inspiration in it or not. It's that people are still going to learn things. There's so much that you can get out of it. But, if it's so complicated that people aren't going to want to do it or want to finish it, then that's not the goal that anybody's looking for. So,
Very
I think that's the beauty. It's so simplistic. There's nothing wrong with it at all.
No, absolutely not. Simple as, classy. Pinkies out, friends.
Now, the one thing I'm thrilled about because this girl has drained me of sport weight yarn for the past 1, 2, 3 years. So we are moving back to fingering. So we started with fingering with the Shoreline Shawl. We've been living in sport weight land for the past 3 years, and now we're going to go back to fingering. So, I mean, the first thing I want to say off the bat is, of course, ultimately, this has nothing to do with you don't have to buy life yarn. I mean, of course, Kimberly will be working with yarns that we carry for the pieces, and we do have some lovely dye collabs coming. If you stick with us, they will be arriving soon enough. So that will be a later drop in which, who knows, maybe you want to get your hands on it. It depends on which direction you want to go in. I guess, can we share? I mean, I brought Kimberly a couple different yarns when we had our little play date so that we could, kind of see what struck her fancy and what she wanted to work with. And I know this is a yarn that she's been looking at for a little while. So do you want to talk about this little squish wonder?
So it is the Falkland yarn that Tabitha has. And when we say if you have done this knit along with us before, and the Shoreline shawl was knit in Tabitha's fingering weight, which really is in other yarns, commercial type yarns, is really more of a sport weight, right? So this one, though, the Falkland yarn is a true fingering. So if you aren't going to, you're going to need a true fingering yarn for this. Um,
Hopefully, the nice thing is as well. I mean, I certainly have a variety of options
yeah.
in terms of fingering because actually I forgot to grab it, but I know some people even already grabbed the Layla yarn and the new version of the white picket fence. That's a white alpaca blend that I
Yeah,
did.
that's really pretty.
And those are thin too. So those are definitely more true fingering than maybe some of my more traditional, meaning like I still have some white picket fence fingering, right? But like, look at the difference. Like, look how little fat monster this one is. And this is actually 400 yards. And this one is like 430, yeah, 37 yards. So, I mean, there's a little bit of variety and I don't know, you're not there yet, but given the versatility of the piece, I mean, I would think headband going to be way more important to get gauge, but there might be a little bit of flexibility, in the shawl piece, that you're
Correct.
doing.
Correct.
But either way, I know you've been like eyeing this up and wanting to do something with this. I will say the background on this, which I didn't even think about, and this is the beauty of TDOC. So this yarn is going to tie in with our New Year's Eve guest. So Linda Courtwright from Wild Fibers, now for the third year, will be my New Year's Eve guest. So I've kicked it off every year with Kimberly, and I've been doing New Year's Eve with Linda. And if you've not been with us for any one of her guest appearances or any of her lecture series, you definitely need to join in on that. But this will tie in because this yarn I actually was able to get from her lovely adventures and her work that she does in the Falklands. So I can't take credit for shearing this, but the wool from this Falkland sheep is just absolutely phenomenal. It
So
actually
soft
a
and
lower
so white.
so white, which I mean, and it'll be for here, not for what her, but I'll have to tell her we're using it. She'll be so excited. But yeah, what I learned is the reason why this is like the whitest of wools is because these sheep live on the shoreline, tying back to that, but they live on the shoreline. And from the fact that they are in little vegetation, they've got the wind and they've got the seas and the salt water beating on them all the time, that their fleeces are so clean. So when it goes to processing, there is nothing in the processing that tends to tinge it, meaning the rest of our sheep tend to have a little bit of VM in it. And that's what makes it a bit more ecru or kind of a little bit more of an antique look. So that's what she taught me about why this wool is so incredibly pure white, which I thought was really interesting. So I'm always learning something all the time.
Mhm.
But this will be the base that you are using for your piece. We want to remind people, at least as you start to think going forward, you're going to want a solid color because we're learning to embroider or embellish your knits. So you're going to want a solid, and then that way you have a contrasting color. So I had some fingerings that I was like, I know that won't work. But I do have some dyed versions of this beauty that will be coming back to us. So I guess you'll just have to wait and see.
And I don't know if it's going to be two skeins or three skeins. I simply don't know yet.
And that's where we are, and that's why it's a pre-registration, right? And it doesn't mean, I mean, the point is, of course, you can grab yarn if you just love it, especially if the dye stuff coming back, or you just ride it out and you wait. And along the lines, those of you, as you have pre-registered and as we have information, that's the beauty of the pre-registration. Once we know the exact yarn that you need in terms of yardage, then we'll make sure we get that email out for everybody that's already signed on, so you can start to get ahead of the game. But at least it just gives you an opportunity to jump in and say, yes, like doing it and love to be part of it again. And for anybody who maybe might not know, I haven't looked at our attendance list necessarily or participants, but it is over 4 Zoom dates starting at the end of February through to the end of March. Of course, there's the private Facebook community that you talked about that everyone interacts in. The Zooms are recorded, so we do have people that participate, even though they can't participate on the Thursday evenings with us. You can get one-on-one instruction with Kimberly for 15 minutes if you so need it. And of course, you get the patterns. And I think the most important part, and I want to talk for you on this behalf because I feel like sometimes it's hard to be able to boast for your own work. But I think the biggest reason why somebody might want to get in on this is that you are getting the videos and the tutorials, which is the most important thing that will help you to learn the techniques, even if you're not going to be knitting when we're knitting. So meaning even after the knit along is done and the patterns are released, great, those people can have a great time and they're going to figure it out on their own, or they're going to go to their local yarn store, but they're not going to have the videos that Kimberly puts together that is part of the knit along. So that's why it's really a workshop, and you'll have those videos forever in perpetuity. So whether you decide next year to get started in it, you'll be able to still access it through that Facebook group, or even for people that don't do Facebook, we make sure it gets emailed to you. So those are forever yours. That's what you're paying for as far as getting in on it. And again, we don't care what you do yarn wise, but that's the whole beauty of it.
Yeah, the videos in perpetuity are going to be changed a little bit only because YouTube doesn't allow you to upload videos into groups and have them stay there forever. And so I have, we both have YouTube channels, and there is a private section, that we can do. So don't worry, you will
Will
have
they
your
stay in,
video.
will they stay in Facebook forever in
No,
perpetuity? in the
No,
Facebook group?
they don't anymore. No, that's new.
All right. Well, we'll figure it out.
That's new, but I have a way around it.
We always will
It
figure it
won't
out.
be, yeah, I mean, but you'll have access to the videos.
All right. Well, that's good. I
I
mean,
always
it's
say like download the videos. You like download them to your computer. Um, but there it'll be through a YouTube, but it'll be a private membership spot.
regardless for the sake of just going through the knit along initially, it'll be there and it stays there. But then I guess I'm, hearing that at some point in time it'll, go away
Yes.
and
Yes. Yeah.
we'll be made aware of that. So, okay, cool. Well, it's always good to know. But I mean, that's still the beauty of it. So just wanted to give a little rundown. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say about it before I make sure we jump over to our crafting with Cotswold class? You really shouldn't do so much with me, and then I wouldn't have so much to talk about, honestly.
I don't know. I have not, I don't know. I don't have anything else to say, but you can speak for the rest of the time.
No. All right.
You
Well,
know,
then let's
you know it's
switch.
quarter after eight already? It's quarter
I
after eight.
know. I know. You should be with me. For some people, we just keep going and going. I'll let you go soon, but we have to talk about curls. Come on. I feel
Oh,
Yeah, I feel like that's your other like claim to
I
fame.
know.
I made sure I wore this piece just for you. Plus, we've got some fun curl stuff happening later on, thanks to our friend Crystal. So, it all ties in. And we do have one more crafting with Cotswold class, which that's a good segue to let everybody know that Kimberly's donation and partly my donation. Remember, every guest is donating something for the keepsake basket. So we are putting in a free registration for the last Crafting with Cotswold class. That's happening on January 16th. So that's a $30 value to be able to take the class with us. Hopefully, whoever wins the basket has it. I guess if you've already taken it, you can take it again or you can gift it to somebody else. But that will hopefully just get one more person on the curl craze. So I made sure that I put the shepherd's embrace back there because I thought it was cool and it helped me to break up some color. But at the same time, I've got the Lovely Locks Popover. That is forever, I think, the most popular piece in terms of the curls that I see people working with. So I don't know, anything you want to say about curls?
Yeah, I want to tell the people that just showed up at my house to be quiet.
Mine on my hand is actually
Like,
my
you guys
my.
hear a
I was
bunch of
going to
people
say
at the table.
everybody on this end got like explicit instructions. And so I will say so far my husband's been great, but then I hear Brody in there. He has this chicken. It's this rubber chicken. There, like sometimes people say,
Yes, I've seen them. Yes.
yes, yes, he loves this chicken. So I heard him before and they're running around with the chicken, and that chicken is so loud. And normally I think it's hysterical, but I heard it before and I was just like, oh my God. I'm like, Brody's gonna get in trouble now. So
There's actually I watched this donkey on
yes, yes, that's yes.
that loves the
And
chicken.
everybody sends him the chickens and they throw it into the pen and he runs up on like the hay pile, manure pile, whatever it is, and he's swinging the chicken around. Oh my gosh. I went to go
So
share for
funny.
one of my customers who has two donkeys. And as soon as I walked in, I saw a chicken. I'm like, no way. I was like, I know that. I'm like,
They
that's
just like that oh, that noise. Oh yeah.
yeah, you should hear that every evening around my house. Christopher gets so mad he takes the chicken away and he puts it in like a basket so Brody can't get it. So sometimes we have to
Or
shut chickens
Brody. Put it in timeout.
down. Anyway, so I know I get that distraction, but it's all good. So never mind the people in your house. Curls.
Oh, so yeah, that's my contribution to the basket is a curls locks class. And if you can't make it, which I really, wish you would get to, make it to the live class. But if the class is gonna, oh no, it isn't. Anyway,
Yeah,
because
this is the last one.
Tabitha's part of the class is so darn interesting. I just love everything that she talks about. And so usually like I'll teach the technique and we do what we do and then usually I have time to like go to the bathroom or go do something. But usually I'm just sitting there like listening to everything that she says because her part of her, her part of the whole animal husbandry thing is fascinating to me. And I just love it. I love to listen to it. And I love the class. I just think I love when people show me their wreaths that are finished. I'm like, what do we make? A wreath. Um, yes, we make beautiful wreaths, and it's just, oh,
I see Priscilla's
Priscilla,
got hers,
Erin.
Morgan's got hers.
I love it. Friends, aren't they the greatest? I gave them away. I know Molly made one too. And I gave a lot away for the holidays and people are like, "I just love that little thing."
Now,
Uh
if I could not tie this all in together any better, so one of our later guests is my friend Aaron Laux. He's actually a professional shearer like myself, although he's a hardcore sheep shearer. I'm more of a sheep beautician. Totally proud to call myself that. But so he's going to be one of our guests, and he mostly has Dorsets and another breed, but he also got a couple of Gotlands. So now he's expanded with Gotlands in his flock, which is the yarn that I'm wearing here and a lot of the curls that we utilize. So he actually sent me two of his fleeces, which I'm going to work through and then wash those up. So just again, I didn't even think about any of this. And then yet what I think is so beautiful is just like how so many of our different guests, intertwine, with one another. And it just ties all together in different ways. So yeah, the curl thing has been amazing. I actually do need to say I've asked Kimberly for yet one more thing because we need another new curl pattern. Uh, and we'll see what she chooses to do or how she chooses to incorporate things. But I just can't get enough of, honestly, if I feel like I can't do something. You ever feel like you need to be productive, but you're like, I just can't really think. I just can't do it. I go and I sort curls now. I sort curls and then I wash curls and then I feel productive and I love it. And every little curl just gets me so excited. So
did you
it's
ever think you were going to love them as much as I do?
no, 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 no. And we this is what we talk about in our crafting class because like I just completely freak out now. Like when I shear these sheep that otherwise in my eyes before this just didn't really have as much of a sense of beauty. So it's just given me an even greater appreciation. Not to mention it's like, yeah, I'm like curl craze. It's gotta be the perfect curl. It can't be too straight. It's gotta, like it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But I'm excited to say that our dear friend Crystal Hyatt Factory Girl Design. So she got into the curl craze on her own. She decided to start dyeing some of the curls for herself because she made this beautiful pink and gray wreath. So then I'm like, ding, ding, ding. So on its way back to me are some dyed curls that we will have available throughout this TDOC. So I'm excited about that. It's not a lot because, trying to get ready for the holidays and get stuff to her. And then it became like 32 degrees and I
Yeah.
couldn't figure out how I was going to sort curls without doing it in my house. So I'm excited though. She sent me pictures of, there's three different colors. So
I
that'll
saw
be,
them.
I only just got a picture, but I'm, ex- I'm excited. So yeah, so that's just, I mean, all of this just kind of ties in different ways, and that's really what's beautiful about this whole fiber community and network and everything that we have. So
Yes.
can I do a couple of quick things before we kind of roll out?
Yeah.
All right. So the one thing I will say, guys, moving forward tomorrow, I'll do this at the beginning. And I should have done it at the beginning, but I felt like I was talking too much and I wanted to get started. But so every presentation, every TDOC, I'm going to try to bring something to you because, you might just be like, oh, that'll be something I can make, or that'll be something I can do, or that'll be something I can drink, or whatever it may be. So tomorrow night, I will have my fancy, so easy sugared cranberries that I introduced to people years ago and everybody loves. I just didn't have time to get those going. So I'm going to do that tonight because they have to go overnight. So they'll be ready for tomorrow and we'll drop that recipe for you. So everybody also, at least in my Circle loves my homemade applesauce, and I make it by the bucket loads. Oh my God, I totally forgot. I brought you some too, right? And then so I don't know, you've had a chance to enjoy it. So I've kind of realized that, look, I'm not a baker. I'm not making cookies. That's not happening. And I know a lot of people do that. I don't have time to be like knitting things for people. And so instead, I make my homemade applesauce, which is so super super simple. And so Erin kind of just dropped it in the chat in case if anybody wants to grab that. But literally, guys, all it is 5 or 6 different apple varieties. I buy the big cheap bags. They're probably the ones that are going to turn really fast. I don't buy the apple by itself, buy the single. And I always have Granny Smith variety because it's a harder apple and brings that sourness to it. And that tartness. I always do a Red Delicious, which is an apple I told Erin I would never ever eat if you even ask me to, for like $1 million. I mean, I think it's gross and grainy and mushy, but it breaks down and just adds a different flavor. And then I always do Macintosh, those tiny little sweet ones. I used to love those. So juicy. And then I'll do 3 other varieties, which lately tends to be Honeycrisp. I think in this one I did Gala and then also Pink Ladies. And all I'm doing, guys, is peeling, coring, chopping, throwing it into a huge sauce pot. Once the bottom is covered, I just turn it on simmer. It starts to make its own juice. I don't add any water. I don't add any sugar. All I add after the pot is full and it starts to break down a little bit is like maybe 6 or 7 cinnamon sticks, or that is to taste, depending on how cinnamony or not cinnamony you want it to be. Or if you don't like cinnamon, you don't have to do it at all. And that's it. And I'll literally let it simmer for like 6 to 12 hours. Sometimes I'll go to sleep and I'll just leave it on simmer, wake up in the morning, give it a stir. And I like to just let it break down on its own because I like my applesauce to still be chunky. So I kind of like some texture to my applesauce. Mm.
The cinnamon sticks break down?
No, so what they do though is they open up. So
Yeah.
like they're really tightly rolled. So
Yep.
I don't put them in the very beginning, but more when it's really broken down, maybe like the last 2 hours, I'll throw the cinnamon sticks in, and they just kind of open up, and then if you leave it in too long, yes, they will kind of disintegrate. So I've kind of learned not to do that. Not that it matters, but you don't want the little, shards of cinnamon
Well, I
sticking.
mean, it's bark.
Yeah, well, it doesn't
That's
add.
what cinnamon is. It's like bark.
So yeah, it just opens up, and then honestly, like my favorite thing to do is as I'm pulling the cinnamon sticks out, you just suck the applesauce out of it, and then throw them in the garbage. It's like a little straw, and that's it. So it's super easy. I don't know. Everybody seems to think it's magical. Like people are always like, "Oh, how do you make it?" I'm like, "It's apples and cinnamon, and that's it."
It's
So
so good. It's so sweet, you guys. You will never believe that it doesn't have sugar in it.
nope, I think it's just a combination of the varieties. So in the future, rolling forward, I'll do my little recipe in the front of the program. Before people start to roll out, I am going to wrap up with some specials and things. And to be honest, I wasn't even watching the chat. I don't know if Erin already threw stuff in there or not. We want to make sure we kind of get those things out to people. And I will also probably look to do that, maybe in the beginning and the end. I don't want to leave everything for the end, but I never know when this is going to end. And so sometimes we do tend to lose people. So the one thing I'm going to do right now, though, is I'm going to close out my chat. And Kimberly, we've got, let's see, 35, but then there's 3 of us. So we have 32 people still with us.
Yep.
So could you pick a number that I'm going to scroll down and choose, and then that person is going to get a $25 gift certificate or store credit to shop with us at Life.
I'm gonna say 20.
20. All right, so I'm going to go backwards because that's a whole lot easier. 1, 2. That's Patty Espigio. I never know if I pronounce your last name the right way, but Patty Espigio. I hope that's correct. So Patty, Erin is going to jot your name down for me. There's nothing you need to do. I know that you're in our system, so I'm certainly appreciative of that and really glad to be able to give you that credit. Now, the only thing, guys, is to tell you that that credit is going to go in after TDOC, just to let you know about that. And then, so just a couple of things, and we will continue on, and I'll probably figure out different ways to put things in as we go along. Because again, this is really about the conversations with the people that I have. But at the same time, many of you know we have a lot of fun, exciting things, drops. So the one thing I'm going to do differently is, instead of just doing blanket discounts for everything across the board with exclusions, we're going to do different discounts that will still run concurrently throughout the week. You can use them throughout the week. You can use them as many times as you want. You just can't use two in one order. So the one thing I will tell you is that if you do multiple orders, we will be more than happy to hold on to them if you let us know if you're going to be ordering multiple things. As you know, Jill told me I have her permission to do this. So she said it's really not that big of a deal. I'll be happy to combine orders if people think they're going to continue to shop throughout TDOC. So for instance, anybody that jumped on for pre-registration of the knit along, obviously there's nothing shipping involved with that. So throughout TDOC, from my half, the code will be TDOC 2550, 25 for the year, 2550 for 50% off. So throughout TDOC, for anybody that wants to grab any skincare, you will get 50% off. So still a great time to throw some stuff in your basket. And then Kimberly is also offering a discount as well. And I'm sure many of our guests will be doing the same if they have something to offer. So for Kimberly, hers is 12, the number, 1-2 days. And that's going to get you
15% off.
off. Any of her patterns on Ravelry, and hers is going to be good through January 6th. So that's the complete end of TDOC. Mine, I will stand corrected, is going to go through the 5th because we want you to get your tickets in, and then we do our drawing on the 6th, of course, for the keepsake basket. So that's just to get things started and to get things rolling. Remember to share with a friend. If there's somebody who you think might enjoy these conversations, please let them know about it. Again, I'm just happy to have people here. That's really what it's all about. And this format and this venue is completely free. Now, the last thing I want to give you a heads up with is a little bit about tomorrow night's guest. And at the one point, Kimberly, when you were talking about people hitting you up at 3:00 in the morning, the perimenopause women, like at that moment, I'm like, that is such a perfect segue. Tomorrow night's guest is like cracks me up because it is the only productive doom scrolling I think I've ever done at like that 3 a.m. time frame. Because as many people know, I don't know about you, but sometimes when you can't sleep or you're up, you're just not functional though either. Like it's not like a productive, oh, I'm up and, let me get up and like do laundry or something. Like you just kind of lay there like you're dead, but you're not dead and you're not sleeping either. So that just makes you mad. So that's where I find myself sometimes. And then the madder you get, right? You're like trying to calm down to go back to sleep, and then your brain just gets out of control. So the doom scrolling that I did landed me, I don't know how, but the wonders of Instagram and it knowing what I like, I fell upon this product called Alpacalets, and it's a mother-daughter team. Now, I will say I forget. It's either Indiana or Illinois. I think it's Indiana. And they have their own alpaca farm, and they have created these really beautiful bracelets out of alpaca yarn, then turned into bracelets. It's trademark, it's their own thing. I really don't know a lot about it. I mean, they must have thought I was bona fide crazy, because there I am at like 3:00 in the morning or whatever hour it was, messaging them in their contact on their website, and then like also messaging them on Instagram, making sure I followed them everywhere, trying to make sure they knew I wasn't crazy, giving them a whole description about everything that I do, how I love the product, wanted to be able to carry it, but then, hey, I also do this program called TDOC. Would you want to be a guest? And you know what? They jumped on everything. So I will say, if you want to do a little searching on the site, but we'll talk more about it tomorrow, they're already up there. They are limited, but we did get a couple of every color in 3 different sizes. You can go check it out. We'll hear more about it tomorrow, but hey, you're here now. So you know it's there. But we'll get the whole scoop. And they were great. They got the product out to us right away. They were like, no problem, would love to be a guest. I mean, they didn't know me from Adam from Eve. So I just loved how game they were to just get this crazy message from this crazy llama lady. And I can't wait to meet them, basically, and hear a lot more about their business and everything that's involved with what they're doing and what they've created.
They're
So,
beautiful.
did you see them? Aren't they
I
cool?
just went to I just went to look. They're
I mean,
gorgeous.
like, and it's honestly like I was like so excited because honestly, I'm like, this is epic. Like, it ties into everything. They're gorgeously soft. They're like
Yeah,
easy to put on, and they're $30.
I know.
Like, it's a crazy price point. And for anybody that still needs to do holiday shopping, like myself, I'm not kidding. I gave up. I don't shop before Christmas. Erin and I had this whole conversation. Like, I just don't stress myself out about it. And I need to calm down after the holidays. And then that's when I can think a little clearer and do some things. So I certainly will be shopping for myself too. So anyway, that's tomorrow night's guest. But really, with that, guys, I just can only say thank you to Kimberly for kicking off TDOC with me again. I really appreciate it. Thank you for being my friend, and thank you for being my fiber bestie. Thank you for being an amazing designer, and thank you for being just a joy and a real person. So on the outside of this, thank you for being somebody I can call and I can be real with, and I love you for all of that.
Oh, I love you too, Tabitha.
So thanks for starting it
Thank
off.
you for having me.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, I know people look forward to it, and I look forward to it, and I am excited about the workshop. And so, yeah, we'll see where all that goes. But I look forward to hearing, from everybody else as well. And always great. I have to read the chat afterwards because I really never know what
Don't
happens.
forget to save it.
Yeah,
I
save it.
know that's what I just am like pulling it up and just kind of looking through everything and making sure because of course they always love to change things, so you never know where it is. So I've got it, got my finger on it. So everyone, thank you. Please reach out to social media. Drop Kimberly a like on her Facebook. Make sure you follow her on Instagram. Make sure you follow her YouTube channel. It's under Knit a Rainbow, right?
Hit a rainbow on YouTube.
So all of those ways to be able to stay in touch with this lovely lady, and hopefully if you're here, you know how to stay in touch with me too. So with that, I will see everyone tomorrow night.
Good
Thank
night,
you.
everybody.
I had to save the chat first. Now I'm hanging up.
Yay.
All right. Good night, everyone.